Oh,
Hello,
these
hello,
guys.
hello.
Hi.
How's it going, buddy?
It's going wonderfully amazing. How about you?
It's going all right. If the acoustic sounds a little different, it is because I am in my house in Tampa.
Nice.
Yeah,
Why is
yeah.
Dolphin always so late?
I don't know. I mean, maybe it takes a long time for the message to get from Tampa to Canada. It's got to fly there.
Wait, do they even have like internet in Edmonton?
Well, so I've heard that they don't have an airport in Winnipeg. Chris, can you comment on this?
Well, I mean, it's the Jets. How the hell would they get anywhere?
Well, I don't know. Welcome, Dalton.
Hello, hello.
Have you heard that Winnipeg also does not have an airport?
I remember watching an Oilers game where they were talking about that. Yeah, they had to bus up from somewhere in the States.
That's right. That's right. So I think, Chris, we can confirm there is no airport in Winnipeg.
Could this explain some of Winnipeg's troubles?
Yeah. Along with it being cold, dark, and having unreliable Wi-Fi.
Maybe that's why Evander Kane wanted to leave.
Yeah.
Anyway, welcome to episode 5, halfway to 10 of South of the Blue Line.
Let's go.
Oh,
I know. Feel like we've been doing this forever now.
we're vets.
All right, boys, there was a lot of hockey this week. Mostly the Oilers. The Jets only played one game. But let's just jump right into it.
All right.
So we started off last week on Sunday, I believe, with the Oilers playing the Capitals. No, it was on Monday night. Monday nights, the Oilers lose 4-1 to the Capitals, and not a great game.
Yeah, kind of disappointing in a lot of aspects, especially since I predicted them to win.
Yeah, that is true. We will take a look at how we all did on our predictions, and I'm pretty sure, just from what I was looking at before, Chris won this week.
I think I may have gone wrong on every single prediction.
No, you won a few. I think you won one. But
right.
What went wrong in the Capitals game?
Oh man, where to start?
We gave them too many power plays. That was my first one.
Absolutely. It's also like there's been so many games this week that kind of blurring together a little bit too.
Yeah, it's true, and they've all been stinkers.
Yeah.
So you're just
Koskinen was a net for that one, I believe.
No, Koskinen and Talbot was because he played the next night at in the Tampa game.
Right.
From what I saw in the Capitals game, like you said, like they're all kind of blurring together. We gave them too many power plays. We didn't look as fast. We didn't look as defensively sound. And our fourth line, that was the one where our fourth line gave up 2 even strength goals.
Oh, that's
early in the game. Our fourth
line
had
a terrible turnover that just gave him a goal.
Yeah, I mean, and Washington, it may not be defensively sound, but all their forwards can absolutely snipe. Backstrom had that unbelievable pass to Oshie.
Oh, yeah.
And Oshie sniped us. Ovechkin just ripped home a one-timer on the power play that kind of deflected off Brodziak. Overall, the Capitals played better and the Oilers didn't. They scored the more points and the Oilers didn't score the more points. So,
well, I mean, they are the defending Stanley Cup champions, so I can't be too choked up about that game.
It's true. So then we'll get to Winnipeg because they only had one game. Then jumping to the next night, a game that I was actually at in Tampa and watched them honestly just get manhandled.
Yeah, absolutely. Tampa just in every way just looked like a better team than Edmonton that night.
Yeah, I can't blame Koskinen for really any of the goals.
No, it's like some of those saves you would have liked him to make if the Oilers were going to win the game, he needed to make those saves, but they're very hard saves to make, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Vasilevsky was making him on the other end, and that's part of the reason why the Oilers lost.
Well, Vasilevsky had 2 or 3 unreal that would have made the game like 1-1 at one point when McDavid walked Strawman. And then I think the other one he saved on the power play on Draisaitl would have made it 2-2 or 3-2. So like he kept them in it, and they kind of. But piggybacking off that game, actually, near the end of it, Matthew Joseph kind of hits Russell in the numbers, crumples him into a ball, and then Milan Lucic. We haven't seen much of this really the last 2 seasons. Stalks him down, and all I can see when I watch the video again is I can just hear the Jaws theme song, just the dun until he finally just crumples him, gives him the one shot, and then WWE just like sits on his throat,
leading to some pandemonium.
Oh yes, the Lightning were not happy about that.
Yeah.
Chris, did you see this hit?
I did.
So, I mean, what did you think? Like, you saw it. I mean, he definitely tracked him down, and Joseph wasn't anywhere near the puck. So,
Yeah, I mean, to me, it was kind of borderline. It was typical Lucic. It wasn't something that you would, come out and say it was a terrible, dirty play, but at the same time, it was a little questionable. You could tell it was made out of anger. So.
Yeah, it was probably the cleanest way to make a dirty hit in my mind.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. So then he ends up getting fined, not suspended, no suspensions, but he ends up getting fined the max amount, $10,000. Fair?
I think so.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't really think that should have been suspended while it was happening. I thought he was going to be, like, kind of, in the game emotions-wise, that kind of thing, but if you look at it and step back and look at it for a bit, at the end of the day, Joseph wasn't hurt. It sent a little bit of a message to the Lightning team that, Lucic wasn't going to let this kind of thing happen. And really, I kind of feel like the entire incident was on the refs in the first place. If you give Joseph a border call there or a call on some of the other ones first, then the players don't feel like they need to take the little bit of vigilante justice into their own hands.
Yeah, that's true. They definitely missed the hit on Joseph. That he clearly crumpled Russell right in the numbers while he was vulnerable. I feel like that was almost a dirtier hit than what Lucic did.
Absolutely.
So Oilers get manhandled by the Lightning, and then they go and play last place in the league, Florida Panthers. And I'm just going to come out and say it. Watching that game, I wanted to vomit watching that game. That was probably, maybe next to the first 2 games of the season, that was probably one of our worst games of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And they also had Roberto Luongo coming back, and man, he still looks good. 38 years old, and he just plays phenomenal.
I don't know how Luongo does it, but because honestly, Ratty is just, he can't buy one right now. Oh. McDavid is just flying through people and then setting him up for just perfect shots, and Draisaitl too, and they're just getting robbed.
But you know what this means. The Oilers lost a couple in a row, so it's time for another rebuild. I'm looking forward to it.
So we're going. What is it? Lose for Hughes?
I'm for it. Though I kind of want that. What's his name? That Finnish dude, like Kako or whatever his name is.
Oh yeah. And then we come up to the last Jets game, or the first Jets game of the week. And me and Dalton were not feeling too confident about the Jets coming to this one. And then Blake Wheeler exploded with a 5-point night. I believe it was a goal and 4 assists. Chris, I know you were wetting yourself watching this game. How are you feeling?
Well, I think the entire team played extremely well. So, even though Wheeler got 5 points, it may have been like the quietest 5-point night. It's one of those ones where you're not like, oh man, he was all over the place and wow, he did everything. It was just, he just went about his business and did his thing. The thing that I liked most about Wheeler's game was that he was not a terrible defensive liability, which both him and Scheifele have been all year long, 5 versus 5. And even during that game, everybody's talking about the play where Mark Scheifele dangled Rantanen, and then
Holy, that was beautiful.
I sent you guys the tweet of the video. But what people don't talk about is the fact that Scheifele had the puck beside his own net earlier on that play, and Rantanen just basically took it away from him at will. Those are the things that drive me crazy about Scheifele and Wheeler, and those are the things that they really need to correct in their game if we really want to be considered a contender, because they play a lot of minutes. They play a lot of 5 versus 5 minutes, so they have to be reliable at the very least. That's the one thing I noticed about McDavid in the what game was it now? It was the Tampa game. There were a couple of plays, especially one where I think you guys were starting to get some momentum, and he just really didn't put that extra effort in coming back to his own net.
And the, what is it, weekly Chris dropping out of the podcast mid-rent thing happening?
So for those playing along at home, that would be one shot.
Uh-huh. Oh, but he was also talking on McDavid, too. So is that 2 shots then?
I think it would be 2. Well, does it count if it's him talking about McDavid or just us?
I think that's the only time it should count if it's him. Because if it was us, then it would be like shots all the time.
Yeah, you'd be falling out of your chair before we're halfway done with the podcast. So, all right, so we'll talk about him talking about McDavid. So that would be 2 shots for the people playing along at home, and you should now be sufficiently going in the mix.
Should be feeling real good right now. That's
and he's back. Welcome back.
What did you guys hear? I swear to God.
McDavid was not putting in the extra effort to get back to his net.
Yes. What I was saying was, I think, until McDavid realizes that he has to do that consistently, and that's a big part of his game, despite how wonderfully talented he is offensively, the Oilers won't take the next step as a team because they take their cues from him. He's the captain, right? So he's got to lead by example that way.
Though I will say, in McDavid's defense, there have been a lot of plays this season where he has flown back in. Like, the defenseman will have given up on the play. They'll be like, oh, the forwards beat me. I'm not going to get there before they get their scoring chance. And McDavid will come out of nowhere, John Cena out of nowhere. Or what is it? Not John Cena.
Leroy
WWE.
Jenkins? Oh.
Yeah, WWE out of nowhere. And, I think I forgot what game it was in. It might have been in the first Washington game, but he pulls the puck basically off the goal line. But I agree. There were definitely a few times, just as a team in general, that in the defensive zone and the offensive zone, that they just weren't putting in that extra, push to, dig it out of the corner or get it out of the zone.
Right. And that's the Oilers, I think, the biggest area opportunity as a team, right? Because your goaltending, is decent. You're obviously talented offensively, but until you guys play better defense, and people want to hang it on the defenseman all the time, but defense is a full team game. Yeah. It's the way that your forwards back pressure. If your forwards aren't back pressuring through the neutral zone, you put your defense in a really no-win situation because they have to back into their goaltender, or they don't have the speed. They can't gap at the blue line. It causes so many other problems that people can just say, oh, the defense suck. Well, that's not the case. It's every player has to work in tandem, just like offensively. If the defensemen aren't pressuring up the wall and they're not making smart pinches, that really limits what your forwards can do offensively. Hockey is a team sport in the truest sense of the word.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. And if it sounds like Chris is very passionate on the subject of forwards back checking, it's because he probably 99% of the time, pickup or an actual game, will yell at the forwards the whole time.
Oh, I scream at you guys, especially when – here's my pet peeve, okay? So it's me and the puck carrier one-on-one, and then there's a trailer. Who should the forward go to in that situation?
Definitely the guy
with the –
Oh, there you go. Correct answer. Line change.
What? It's line change. It should be obviously the trailer. If I'm already marking the puck carrier, he's not going anywhere. He's not cutting to the net. I'm going to force him wide. He's going to be looking for a button hook and a trailer. So if you as a forward back check to that player, then guess what? You've left somebody open for a pass because there's no way the defenseman can change his track and then start skating towards that trailer because then he's going to get burnt.
Well, yeah, because if you go after the puck carrier and the defenseman then has to change his track to try and give more room to the puck carrier to try and cover the pass, then the puck
Yep.
carrier is going to have enough room to walk in and get a shot or really run rampant while he has the puck.
Exactly. The last thing you want to do is force your defenseman in your zone to have to skate towards a puck carrier. You do that, and you're just setting them up to get dangled.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's my angry D lesson of the day, and I won't.
We'll add that to the drinking game.
Yeah, so that's about 3 shots now, I think.
Exactly. But bringing it back to the Jets real quick. Not Scheifele, Wheeler with all his assists and whatever. It looks like he's going to single-handedly pull Laine and Ehlers out of their slump.
I really like the adjustments that the Jets made to their lines. They don't seem to make much sense at first until you've actually watched the Jets play for a while. I don't know if you guys know, but Laine is now on a line with Adam Lowry and you wouldn't and Tanev, Brandon Tanev. So those are
Really?
two players you can automatically associate with Patrick Laine. But I think what Maurice is trying to teach him is how to be stronger along the boards, how to cycle and protect the puck, and how to be a little bit more defensively responsible, because that's what's really been missing from Laine's game. We all know he can score goals, but it's that other part of his game. Like, you imagine if Patrick Laine becomes strong along the boards and can start dominating along the boards, he's going to be really hard to stop.
Shades of Jagger there.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think that's what's happening. And they're still keeping Wheeler and Scheifele together, which is okay, but they moved Connor off that line, which I don't mind either, because Nick Ehlers needs to get going. So I don't know if you watched the goal that Ehlers scored, but
yeah,
it was almost a situation where it's like you feel like he's glitching or the controller disconnected, because you're wondering if he's actually going to score that goal.
Yeah, because Wheeler gave him that unbelievable saucer pass, and then he kind of fanned on the first shot, had to pull it to his backhand, back from behind the goal line to tap it in. And I bet everyone in the building was like, okay, it went in. Oh man.
Oh, thank God.
Oh. Ooh.
So there's a lot more balance to our lines now. We have our fourth line, which is can be pretty scary. It's got Perreault, Roslovic, and Petan was on that line, although I'm not really sold on Petan. He's one of those shiny toy guys, I'm sure you guys have those guys that all the fan base goes nuts over and wants to march the streets up to the Oilers offices to complain that they're not playing that player enough, when in reality, we know players get the opportunities they deserve to get. Do you think an NHL or an NHL coach or a GM is going to prevent a player from playing more because they want to be right? Of course not.
It depends on if the player's name is Jesse Puljujarvi.
See, here we go. Exactly. What has Jesse Puljujarvi done to deserve what minutes he gets or being dressed? You have to play a role that you're going to be successful in. If you look at a guy like Nick Petan, he's not going to be a defensively responsible guy. He's a high-skilled small forward. So guess what? If he wants to stay in the Jets lineup, he's got to beat out guys like Roslovic. He's got to beat out guys like Ehlers, Connor, all those small young forwards. And I'm sorry, all those players are playing miles above his talent level right now. So what are you going to do? You can complain all you want, but that guy's got to force his way into the lineup.
Yeah, very true.
That kind of brings an interesting, philosophical question for how you play your rookies as well. Do you give them ice time off the bat to see what they can do, or do you limit their minutes, which might hurt their development, but make them feel like they've actually proven their way onto the team? It's kind of.
I think it depends on the player. I think some players you definitely have to start with their getting their confidence high just by kind of gifting them minutes, and then maybe if there's another player you kind of got to be a little bit more tougher with that can take it, because there's definitely players that react negatively, making Puljujarvi, to bring it back to him, I feel like he's one of the players you almost have to gift him minutes, because by limiting his minutes, he's going to feel like he's can't do it, or like he's not going to make it. Like he doesn't feel confident, so then he's going to play worse. Whereas with maybe like more like I don't know, maybe like hardworking forwards. I don't know if that's the right term. Not to say Puljujärvi is not hardworking, but you got to kind of make them kind of earn it a little bit more.
So kind of Yamamoto versus Puljujärvi situation.
Yeah, exactly.
And another thing that fans don't really consider, and they should, is all of the practice time that we don't see, right? All the practicing and the scrimmaging that the teams do, all of the effort that these players put in, like in the gym and all that kind of stuff, that all matters.
No.
All right, I'm going to kind of pick up where he left off there a little bit. I'd actually agree with him, too, because you're only seeing 60 minutes of hours upon hours upon hours that these guys are putting in, right? Like, the coach and the entire coaching staff is going to be watching these guys do their workouts, seeing who's putting the effort in, seeing who's clicking together in the practices and stuff like that. But that all being said, ultimately, it only really does matter what he does actually in the game.
Yeah.
That's the second Chris drop of the episode, so that's another shot.
I don't know why it's just me. What did I do?
I don't know, but Dalton kind of picked up where you left off, talking about the fans aren't really seeing like all the other work that they're putting into it and that sort of things, and how it's more important to maybe not just focus on, like, we don't know, like, other than what we see in the game, we don't know like how they react in practice and how they're working out and that sort of thing, which is kind of what you were getting at.
Good. Yeah, absolutely.
So then, if we I'm going to take a little quick look at our scoreboard for last week's predictions. So for the one Jets game, we'll start there, the Colorado game. The Jets won, I believe it was 5-2 or 6-2. 5-2. Since Chris was the only one that predicted a Jets win, Chris wins that round. Then we go to the Oilers Caps. So now, actually, the Oilers lose. I believe it was 4-1, and Chris thought the Oilers were going to win. Did not happen. I thought the Oilers were going to win. Did not happen. Dalton thought the Oilers were going to win, and it did not happen.
So do we all lose then?
Yeah, I believe so. I think we do. Actually, wait. I'm reading this wrong. The Oilers played the Wings first. The Red Wings. They played that night of the recording of the last podcast.
Oh, yeah.
So the Oilers beat the Wings. And Dalton, you actually came the closest. We won 2-1. They won. You predicted 3-1. So, Dalton, you get that one. So then the Capitals, I actually predicted a Capitals win here, and Chris predicted a Capitals win. But are we trying to score the under or the over? Because the Capitals won 4-1. I predicted a 3-2 Capitals win, and Chris predicted a 5-2 Capitals win.
I would give that one to Chris because he got the differential right.
All right. Fair enough. So Chris then takes the Caps. Then on to the Tampa game. Chris was the only one that predicted a Lightning win, so Chris wins that one.
Oh, dear.
And then we all predicted the Oilers beating Florida, and we all were wrong. Chris is going to take the week with a score of 3-1.
Would you look at that?
Those already down.
Yeah, fair enough. So Chris has Chris takes week one of the, what are we calling this? Because prediction game's a little on the nose. We'll brainstorm it. I'll run it by the creative department.
Let's call it 3 Idiots Guess Shit. You don't like that?
Well, it's a very accurate title.
It is very accurate. So a lot of news happening around the league this week. So first off, Chris, you were exactly right on the amount of games. Lemieux was going to be suspended 2 games. Do you think he gets back into the lineup as soon as his 2 games are done?
That is a really good question. There's a couple of things that will really decide that. First of all, Maurice is one of these old school coaches who doesn't like to mess with the lineup much when it's successful. So I think if the Jets are, win their next games in between, well, there's only one more game. It's tomorrow against Jersey. So if they win that game, I doubt that Lemieux will draw in right away. I think another determinant is Nick Patan. I honestly don't. I think that Brendan Lemieux is a better player overall because, especially in that role, I think you need somebody with a little bit of grit and who can cycle on that line. I thought that Perreault, Lemieux, and Roslovic were pretty good together when they did play together. So, but if Patan has a good game tomorrow, I think he stays in. Again, I think Maurice is pretty fair when it comes to that kind of stuff. If you play well, you won't come out. So,
all right. Moving right along, then. So for those who don't know, this month is Hockey Fights Cancer Month, and then on Hockey Fights Cancer Night, Brian Boyle, who announced, I believe, the day of the game that his cancer was in remission, scored his first career hat trick.
Yeah, he really seems to step it up, when it's those big games for him like that.
Yeah, he torched the Oilers when he came back for the first game back last season too.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. He's Brian Boyle. I really like him as a player, off the ice, on the ice. He's just one of those guys that's just I'd love to have him on any team I was playing on, kind of thing.
Yeah, Brian Boyle is just one. He's skilled. He's huge. You can throw him on the penalty kill. You can throw him on the power play. He fights. He is one of those. He's one of those players that no matter what team he's on, that fan base falls in love with him.
Absolutely, yeah. Also, for those fans that were really paying attention, that's another shot.
That is another shot. You guys, people are getting a little drunk tonight.
Up to 5 now, I think.
I think you're right. Oh boy,
that was 3. Come on, chill
out. So then, the first 2 coaches of the season were fired, and neither of them were the Oilers.
Hooray, we did it!
We did it. So first, the Kings fired John Stevens and replaced him with interim coach Willie Desjardins, who was last coached for the, I believe, last place Vancouver Canucks, or close to last place Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah, he actually was the head coach of one of the guys I played beer league with when he was over in Germany playing hockey.
Really?
Yeah. He loves that guy. So it's always funny to me when he doesn't do very well.
So, what do we think? I mean, the Kings obviously have not been doing very well, but again, it's only about 16 games into the season. So do you think it was too early, right move? How do you think the Kings will rebound from this?
I honestly think the Kings are not going to rebound well from this. Not because Willie Desjardins is not a good coach or anything like that, or Desjardins, but just because the Kings, they just don't have the talent there anymore. They don't have the personnel they need to win. I believe they probably made the right move by firing Stevens just because they needed to change something in their lineup. But the fact that Quick's being out for, I think he's out for like another month or something like that, and their team as well just isn't clicking. I don't think a new coach is going to change much for them.
Yeah. So, Chris, what do you think about the first head coach being out of there?
So, honestly, I think that sorry, I'm having a brain fart right now. Which team was 6-6? The Blackhawks. So, I think that firing Quenneville was kind of stupid, to be honest with you. For that team to be 500 is actually an accomplishment. I don't understand that at all. Like, unless they came up with an agreement, Quenneville wanted to leave the team because he knew they wouldn't be competitive, and maybe there's already an idea, like maybe there was like a gentleman's handshake that he's going to go play for the Kings, or he's going to go coach for the Kings. I don't really understand that one. What I would say is maybe the Oilers should sense the opportunity and go after Quenneville right now. Just saying.
Okay,
You're
taking the words right out of my mouth for that.
So I agree. I would love to have Quenneville. He is the second most winningest coach of all time.
Mm-hmm.
So he's obviously doing something right. Quenneville, even when the Oilers beat the Hawks 4-0, I remember watching his post-game interview and just the way he talked and like did the interview after his team lost 4-0. Like just I don't know. It was really the only other like couple coaches that I have seen that have interviews like that is like Mike Babcock. Like you can really tell like in interviews the elite tier coaches, especially after their team lose. And I was actually very surprised that they fired Quenneville. But I read though that LA is actually happy with Willie Desjardins to continue head coaching, and they're not actually planning on hiring Quenneville.
Also,
That's
apparently
strange.
for Quenneville, apparently there's been a huge rift between him and the Chicago Blackhawks management for years now. And that they're just looking for an opportunity to fire him, pretty much.
Right, you're right. It was him and Stan Bowman. I heard that they don't get along or see eye to eye. So maybe you're right, Dalton.
Yeah, because I heard it really started when I heard it started really early, but I know like the few things that really kind of keyed it off was when Stan Bowman traded Nicholas Jarmelson to the Coyotes because and obviously their defense is hurting because of it. So that's a pretty obvious thing you can point at. But Jarmelson, out of like their top three of Seabrook, Keith, and Jarmelson was one of the most underrated, like quiet. He just went out there and played like 8 minutes alive. Like he was a fantastic defenseman.
Yeah. There's also apparently as well when Quenneville heard the news of the Perenin trade, it was during their pre-draft meetings, and he just walked out of the room. He was so pissed about it.
That's right.
For sad. And I mean, like, justifiably so. That's just a horrible trade.
Yeah. So although I think it's going to be hard for some teams to hire Quenneville because he's making $6 million right now and being paid that by the Blackhawks. So in order to hire him, you have to pay him market value. So it doesn't have to be $6 million, but basically what it means is you'd have to pay him like 3.5, and then the Blackhawks would pay him the other like 2.5 or 3.
I've never heard of that before. Really? Is that how it works?
That is how it works because he still actually has 1 year left on his deal. So he could take the time off, not work all year, and just make $6 million doing nothing. Or if a team decides to hire him and he decides to take it, let's say like who's a team that's in need of another coach? Let's just say LA. LA decides to hire Quenneville. They say, all right, we're gonna pay you $3 million. Then Chicago has to still pay him the other half of that contract. So it's basically someone would be eating money from the Blackhawks.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of confusing. But do you have any hot takes on who the next coach to be fired in the NHL is going to be?
T-Mac.
Todd McClellan? You think he's out of there?
Oof. Do I think he's out of there? I think if the Oilers lose another couple games, he is, yeah.
Oh, he's riding a short leash in your mind.
He's been riding a short leash since the Oilers didn't make the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to hear a real hot take? But it's more just because I hate the team.
I'm ready.
Give me a hot take from you, always.
I'm going to say Gerard Gallant.
Ooh. That's a pretty hot one.
Fucking Vegas.
Glad
they're sucking now. They suck.
Yeah. I'm quite glad because the Oilers are starting to kind of fall down a hill, and we are in the same division. If I'm gonna guess what coach is gonna be fired, I'm gonna kind of go off the board here. And who is the head coach that took over in San Jose after McClellan left?
Oh, Pierre Dubois or something like that?
So my guess is because San Jose has not been performing the way they want to. They actually got killed last night by the Wild, I believe. I say if they keep underperforming, he's out of there.
Yeah, I could see that happening as well. Very much so.
Yeah.
Because there's no reason that team shouldn't succeed, especially in a weak Pacific Division, especially with the addition of Erik Karlsson.
Yeah, like every move they've made so far was just leading up for them to dominate, and they've been good. There's been some games when they've been really good, but then like the game last night, there's been some games where they just have not looked like the team they're being advertised to be. So then moving on, we're gonna hit just a few small things. First, Malkin clips TJ Oshie in the game. High hit, he gets kicked out. And then he wasn't suspended. I believe he was just fined. How do we feel about that?
Wasn't even a fine.
He wasn't even fined. He got nothing. So do we feel there's a little bit of star treatment going on here?
Well, when I was watching the game, and when I initially saw the hits, like I put a little like quotation marks around that, it looked to me like in real time, it looked to me like Malkin raised his elbow and then clipped Oshie as he was going by. As I was watching it further, and looking at the replays and stuff like that, Malkin didn't even move he just braced himself, and then Oshie just ran straight into him. Like, I don't even think that should have been a penalty. If anything, maybe 2 minutes for interference for Malkin, but that's a stretch.
So, like, so you think the hit wasn't even in like barely intentional?
I don't think it was intentional at all by Malkin. I think that Oshie just took a bad path to get to the defenseman and then clipped Malkin as he went by. It just looked terrible in full speed, but as soon as you watch the slow-mo replays of it, like Malkin goes straight forward, he doesn't divert from his path, Oshie just drills him, and the unfortunate part of it is Oshie, it looks really bad for Malkin. He ends up getting thrown out of the game.
Well, it also doesn't help that Malkin has a significant size difference on Oshie.
Yeah, and Malkin also has a little bit of a rep for doing this kind of thing too.
Yeah, especially against Capitals players.
Yeah.
Malkin's a piece of shit.
Sorry. But would I love to have him.
Oh boy.
Yeah, but he's not. No. He's the kind of guy who will do shady shit like this, but as soon as anyone touches him, he acts like his life is ended. I don't know. I don't have respect for players like that.
So how did you feel about the hit then, Chris? Or the hit?
I'm looking at it right now. Honestly, I didn't see it.
Yeah. Well, the thing is as well, like, I could see Malkin doing this as well. Like, I could see him sticking out his elbow. I totally expect him to do something like that. But for this circumstance, I don't think there should have been a penalty at all.
Yeah. When I saw it, I definitely agreed with maybe a bit more than 2 minutes. But, I mean, what you're saying, I agree with what you're saying for the most part. Like, he didn't really divert his pass. He didn't, like, stick out an elbow or jump into him. Oshie.
That was on purpose. That was 100% on purpose.
If you look at the full speed, it looks like it is. But then if you look at they have a behind angle camera clip, and then you can see Malkin doesn't even look at him.
He lifted his shoulder and body into Malkin or into Oshie's face. He did it.
Yeah, so that's what kind of gets me too, is because by saying he didn't divert his path, well, while yes, he didn't go out of his way to he didn't move his trajectory into Oshie, he definitely did more. I feel like he did more than brace for it. He definitely kind of leaned forward into it to definitely clip him, because I feel like the reason he wasn't suspended is one, Oshie wasn't hurt, and then he got kicked out of the game. But I still feel like it was avoidable. Like he did it intentionally.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I'm Malkin right there. I'm coming across the blue line. I have the puck right. I just drop it back. I see someone coming towards me in the corner of my eye. That's coming to me fast. I'm gonna brace myself for that hit. Am I gonna lead into the guy a little bit too? Absolutely. I don't want to get killed. Like, I don't think there's anything dirty from Malkin in this one. And I'm all for calling Malkin a dirty player. Like, he's one of probably the most underrated dirty players in the league.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think you're just the way I understand what you're saying about bracing yourself. You have to, but you don't lift your shoulder up into somebody's face to brace yourself. That's bullshit. Besides, I'm looking back. I'm trying to find the hit. There was a similar play that Malkin made on Wheeler. I think it was last year.
Yeah, that one was dirty as hell. They showed that one on the NHL clip there. That one he left his feet for and went into his head. That was like, in my mind, those are two completely different circumstances.
Right, but what I'm trying to say is that there's an established history with Malkin, and I'll also say that I believe that there's two. This is one reason one of the million reasons I hate the NHL is because there's different ways of different players get away with different things, and it's really annoying. People should be just because you're a highly skilled player does not mean you should be able to concuss players. It's ridiculous to me.
So then, do you think Malkin should have gotten more than nothing, more than just the match penalty?
He should have got more than nothing. He should have at the very least got a fine.
All right.
But here's the thing: if he would have been suspended like he should have been on the Wheeler hit last year, then there's precedent, and that would have set him up for a suspension in this case as well. Because now you're establishing a history, right? But because he gets away with shit all the time, there's no history ever established.
Yeah. I went back, and I looked at the Wheeler hit. I agree. That one should have been suspension, 100%. But this one, it's just, I don't see intent from Malkin's perspective.
Yeah, so, I mean, it sounds like we're on the fence about it. I'm kind of in between on the two of you guys. I mean, I feel like he probably should have gotten at least fined. But from definitely what you're saying, on the hit on Wheeler, there definitely should have been a precedent set much before this hit. Because this is 2 years in a row, and the season's not even, like, he could do it again this season sort of thing. And that would be, if he did something even worse in the season, that would be his first offense or something like that. So I definitely think that there should have been a suspension on the earlier hit from last season that would have led more into this hit.
Yeah,
I mean, it's another headshot, right? I don't know. You let players run around hitting people in the head, then what do you expect?
Yeah, and I feel like we're talking about people just demolishing people every week.
Oh, that's number 4, by the way, for those listening at home.
Yeah, which adds up to 6 now.
I think so. So if you guys are still listening, you're troopers.
Yeah. Then sad day. Thomas Plekanec has agreed to basically go down and have the Habs terminate his contract.
Yeah, he's been a hell of a player.
It's a very unceremonious way to end the career of a player that was really fantastic for a couple years.
Yeah, I'm glad he got his 1,000th game in with even though he didn't play all 1,000 with the Habs, I'm glad he got his 1,000th game in. Apparently, he's still a solid player for the Habs. He's just decided he doesn't want to do it anymore. He's done. So
I actually haven't seen him play much, and when I've watched the Habs games, I actually haven't seen him on the ice much. So it just looks like they're kind of. I mean, I think he's he's lost a few steps. So and the Habs are playing very run and gun. I hope Carey Price makes the save style hockey. So and I definitely don't feel like he matches what they're going for.
Yeah, and it's difficult for a veteran, especially someone that played for his caliber, to have to step back and be that fringe guy on a team.
Yep.
So, and apparently he's also going to go over to the Czech Republic and going to play a couple of years over there. So he's not quite over for his hockey career, just his NHL career.
Yeah, perfect. Chris, any last words for Thomas Plekanec?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm on the fence about it. Like, he decided to retire, which leads me to believe that his back problems are kind of lingering. But I always thought that there's something left for him. Like he signed a year-long contract this year. So obviously at the beginning of the year, he felt like he wanted to play at least another season in the NHL. So I can't believe that all of a sudden he doesn't want to, unless his back's just not allowing him. But adding to it, and the question mark for me is just because the Habs have had, really good success with the centers they currently have, and unexpected, I think, a little bit with their younger players. So I wonder if he just knew that he wasn't going to get the ice time he wanted, which would open the door in my thoughts to him maybe getting picked up by another team. And in that case, do you think that he would be useful on the Oilers?
I don't know about the Oilers.
No.
Yeah, the bottom 6 in Edmonton's pretty. It's pretty. There's some tough competition already.
We have we have barely enough money. 2, our biggest problem is the rest of our team besides McDavid is slow. And Thomas Plekanec does not address the ability to skate fast.
Yeah.
I think Thomas Plekanec could teach a lot about maybe defense or two-way games, but I don't feel like we have the money nor the time that would be needed to invest in him.
Yeah. I think Buchanan could definitely go to a different NHL team and still be an effective player. Like, I don't know, probably like maybe the Stars. Probably he could absolutely make it on the current Hawks roster.
Oh, here's a hot take. The LA Kings want to increase their antique roadshow that they have going on right now and pick up Thomas Plekanec to add next to one old Ilya Kovalchuk and one getting older Drew Doughty and Anze Kopitar.
Don't forget about Dustin Brown.
And Dustin Brown, exactly.
That'd be funny if it happened. I don't think it will, but maybe.
All right, moving on. Now we're going to not players that are retiring, but players that are exploding onto the scene. First off, we're going to start in Ottawa. Thomas Chabot, leading all defensemen in scoring.
Yeah. So apparently they traded away Erik Karlsson, but all of Erik Karlsson's talents, instead of leaving Ottawa, just went to a different player.
Which leads me to believe that Eugene Melnyk has performed some sort of dark arts ritual.
You know what? I believe it.
I do too. Chris, have you been watching any of Chabot's highlights? Because he has had a few this season.
Here and there.
I mean, I think we talked about it when he undressed like all of the Leafs team and made them look pretty dumb. That was pretty impressive. But I think what's really impressing people is, I mean, obviously the points jump out at you, but because he played a little bit last season and he didn't look very good. But I feel like this season, he's playing with a lot of confidence, and I feel like this is like one of those situations where he was a player that you kind of needed to be like, you are now our best defenseman. Show me what you can do.
Yeah, he really got an opportunity to step up with Erik Karlsson leaving the Senators. Because all of a sudden they need someone to run their power play. They need someone to eat up those minutes.
Exactly.
And yeah, Thomas Chabot, he really did. He stepped up and he took the reins.
So I feel like this is an example of a player where you're like, all right, here you go. Then jumping over to another Canadian team, unless any of you guys have any other words on Chabot.
He's lit, dude.
Yeah. Then jumping over to another Canadian team with a rising superstar, Vancouver. One is playing really well, which is really frustrating to see. But two, Elias Pettersson is someone should be flagging his highlights for pornography because it's too dirty. Like I felt very unclean watching him slap shot a Gretzky-like laser beam over Jimmy Howard.
Oh, jeez. I feel like we talk about him every single week, and it's justified every single week.
Well, he's got, 10 goals at this point in, 11 games or something like that?
Absolutely. No longer a goal a game, luckily. But...
No longer a goal a game, but he is definitely over a point a game.
Oh, yeah, very much so. Does he have the Calder unlock already?
Is Thomas Chabot a rookie?
He is not. This is his second year.
Oh, so then... I mean, there's really been no other rookie that's really exploded onto the scene. I mean, Lejeune from Ottawa was playing well, but he slowed down a lot. Mm-hmm. I think so. I think Pettersson's got it. Barring anything like a spectacular meltdown, which honestly would be kind of fun to watch. I think he's got it on lock. What do you think, Chris?
I don't know. I'm on the fence. We'll see.
Yeah,
I just think that, I feel like, there's a big hype machine right now because the Canucks always suck and they have a huge fan base. So they need something to be excited about. I'm not discounting what he's done, but it's also how many games have we played so far this year?
I think the Vancouver Canucks are sitting at 17 or 18.
Right. So we're not even at the quarter mark of his first season. So I don't know. I just hate making those assessments. Same thing with Shabbat. Like, obviously, he's doing great things. Good for him. But we see how good players are over time. Anybody can do something really well over a short sample size, especially when they don't have time to think about it. So Shabbat comes into the league. He's given this great opportunity. He's excited to be in the NHL. He has a couple of good games, which he really starts to feel it, right? He's feeling confident. You feel like, the NHL is no big deal, right? I can do this. And then you ride that wave. How long does that wave last? I don't know. Maybe he gets rocked in a game. Maybe he gets lit up for a few goals. And now he starts questioning his, whether he can hang with the big guys. Then you see what kind of player you have, right? Like you've seen with defensemen, you look at a guy like Zach Bogosian or even Jacob Trouba, a few other guys in their first year, they really did a lot of great things. And then in their sophomore season, they really struggled because now.
Oh,
another shot.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
No one's going to be left if they're playing along.
No. Adding on to what you were saying, though, another thing as well that could really hamper these rookies is that as you go further and further in the NHL season, everyone's going to learn how you play a little more, and coaches are going to develop strategies to play against you as well.
Yeah, I feel like you kind of saw that with McDavid in the last 3 games.
Well, that brings me to another thing. Is McDavid sick?
No. I don't think he's sick. I think I said, we're talking about coaches. The longer players are in the league, the more players and coaches kind of start getting used to and developing game plans and defenses against what they're doing. And so, Pettersson will obviously, people will start, now that they've seen what he's done, they'll start shutting him down. People will start figuring out Shabbat's defensive zone tendencies, and they'll start exploiting him for goals. Right. It really depends on how they kind of bounce back from it.
Right. That determines the player. That's going to say a lot. That's why I don't usually jump in too much when people are getting super excited about a player, because I've seen players do extremely well over short sample sizes. The real stars of the league are the guys who do it year after year, and when somebody figures out their shit, they come up with new shit. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. They reinvent themselves.
Carlson, how's he doing this year?
William Karlsson.
Karlsson.
I can tell you he's not shooting at a 40% shooting rate anymore.
Oh, wait. Not the next coming of Jesus. He's not. He just had one really, and good for him. He had a really good year, and he sustained it throughout the year. So that's actually a huge accomplishment in itself. But the real test is being able to replicate that. Every year now, now when the Vegas Golden Knights come into town, there's no secrets anymore. People know very well what they're going to do. They know the dangerous players, and they know their dangerous players' tendencies. So, that's the way I feel about Pettersson. Plus the fact that I hate the Canucks, so I hope he dies in a tire fire.
Yeah.
Chris, do you hate the Vegas Golden Knights or something, dude?
I hate almost every NHL team. It's just variances of how much I hate them.
That's 100% fair.
So then the last thing I have down is they released the Hockey Hall of Fame inductees of the season. We have one Marty Brodeur, one Martin St. Louis, one Yakushev, not going to lie, I got no idea who that is, and one Hefford. And I don't know who that is. I don't know who that is either.
That's really not right. You better remove that from the podcast for you.
Yeah, we're gonna edit that part out.
Jana Hafford, probably one of the best female hockey players in the history of the sport. So please give her respect.
Really? I had no idea.
Dude, she would fucking crush you.
Oh, listen. I have no doubt. It doesn't take very much. I went and helped out this morning. I went and helped out one of my old rec coaches, and he coaches band of midgets. So these kids are 13 years old, and these kids were dangling the hell out of me. So it would not surprise me. So she was the other name I didn't recognize though on the list was Yakushev. And does anyone know anything about him? He's in the Hall of Fame, or going to be in the Hall of Fame. So.
Nah, former Soviet Russian guy? I don't know.
That's a pretty high percentage shot. I like that.
Thank you. No.
Chris, do you know anything about Yakushev?
Not really, no.
But
All
you're
right.
a registered old guy, though.
Wow, you're an asshole.
Gotta take my shots where I can.
And then we got St. Louis. We obviously have seen him a lot down here in Tampa.
I own his jersey too.
And that's right. When you were down here, didn't you buy a St. Louis jersey?
Absolutely.
That's
Got
right.
An A on it.
That's right. Yeah, he was captain for a little bit.
He was a Flame, right?
He was drafted by the Flames. Yeah.
He's a dirty Flame.
Yeah.
He recovered from that though.
Yeah, I mean, St. Louis is a fantastic player. I mean, they're all fantastic players, but since I know more about St. Louis is better.
Now that I think of it, like the Flames have done really well with teeny tiny players.
Yeah, I'm always a little surprised they never gave St. Louis a shot.
Yeah, they did kind of. Yeah, but Chris is right though. They definitely have not been afraid to take smaller players. Like it started with Thean Fleury, and then they had St. Louis for a little bit. It obviously didn't last because he ended up going to Tampa, and then now Gaudreau.
Mm-hmm.
But hot take: Gaudreau is bad.
Yo, I'm a huge Oilers fan, but I can't agree with you there. Gaudreau is the Flames team. He's so good.
He's like, who he reminds me of in a way? Like, he reminds me of Patty Kane in the fact that they don't so when you watch them play with the puck, you always feel like they are going to get crushed at any second. Same thing with Nick Ehlers, because it almost seems like they're not aware of their surroundings, or they're not really moving particularly fast, or they're going to try something stupid against a bigger player. But these guys never get hit. I want to see Dustin Byfuglien turn him into a smudge on the glass one day.
Oh, my goodness.
I don't feel like it's ever going to happen because these guys have so much deception and agility in their game, and it's just you just don't expect it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the same sort of thing with Mitch Marner and just really all the small fast players. Like you're watching them and you're like, oh my god, this guy's gonna die. And I cringe every time Yamamoto touches the puck.
Oh, I'm kidding. Scared for his safety out there.
Same thing with Ehlers. Like Ehlers will when he's playing well, he'll take the puck at our own blue line and he'll start accelerating through the neutral zone, and that next 20 seconds, you just fear for his life because in the neutral zone he'll make a couple moves. At the blue line is a high danger area. Then he'll take it behind the net where you think, oh my god, coming around the other side of the net, he's going to lose his life. Honestly, but they always seem to find a way to get through it. Yeah.
All right, boys, we're running a bit of a long one, and there's one thing that I wanted to touch on that we have not touched on yet: the Ottawa Senators Uber video.
Oh God!
Not gonna lie, that is that quickly jumped into my top 10 videos of all time. That was honestly from if you take the rest of it out of it from a purely comedic standpoint, I loved every minute of that video. Highlight was when Matt Duchene said, "Yeah, I got so mad I boomeranged my Twiggy into the stands."
Apparently, as well, there's another video that hasn't been released yet.
Really?
Yeah, that's the rumor that I've been hearing so far.
I mean, obviously, so after the video, the Ottawa Senators came out and destroyed the Devils. I think it was 7-3. Mark Stone had a 5-point night. They apologized to the coach, Marty Ramon. But the thing is, it wasn't. Duchene is playing really well now. Shabbat, like we said, is leading defenseman in points. And so the people involved in the video where they were trash talking the coaches or whatever, they're not just some third line plugs you can fire into the sun and never see them again. These are your some of your best players. So I mean, how does the organization that's already on rocky ground kind of move forward?
Honestly, so I got kind of the way they already have. They came out, they said they're handling it internally. it's a terrible situation for Ottawa in general, just because this is the thing that kind of it happens. These guys talk like this all the time. Like it's just like us and you guys talk. It's like you talk with
it's
your boss.
all level of hockey, honestly,
Yeah.
and not even hockey. Like everyone, just like when you're hanging out with your friends or whatever, you're gonna shit talk people.
Yeah, you're gonna randomly bitch about people. It's life.
So I've got a couple of really strong opinions about this. First of all, you guys are absolutely right. This happens all levels of hockey, every single hockey team. As a matter of fact, any job that you do, you bitch about your boss. My guys, I've got a team at work. I bet you they talk trash about me all the time. It's a part of life, and it's a part of having a boss or a manager. So, Paul Maurice basically said that was one of the mildest instances he's ever heard. He believes that the Winnipeg Jets probably say a lot harsher shit about him, and he's fine with it. It's a part of the game. So here's where I think it's actually a positive. Everybody's thinking it's a big deal and it's a big shock and everybody's like outraged about it. But I bet that now the coach understands what the players want from him more. And I bet you that coach, being a smart guy and knowing that the players involved, is going to do his best to give the players what they're asking for. More transparency, more explanation of the plays that are running. Like, honestly, I think it's going to end up being a really good thing for the Ottawa Senators, because do you think that coach would ever have known the things that his players want from him if they wouldn't have said that in that video? I don't think so.
No. Well, you don't want to piss them off, right? That's the thing. Like, people are tippy-toeing through life like that, and then unless these kind of situations happen, these guys in charge are never going to know what you want.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
and
honestly,
Ottawa is very lucky that is all they were complaining about. That's all it came out, because they could have said so much worse.
Oh my God.
And okay, so they were complaining about their boss and their coach and someone who they work with. At least they weren't talking about like what they did the night before, or the girl they met a couple days ago, or what they did over the summer, or any of that stuff. Like, it could have been so much worse for those players.
So much worse. They could have been talking about sniffing coke off of somebody's nipples. Really, like that shit happened. People understood the drugs in the NHL and the shit that the players do when they're off. Oh my God. Like, I've known, like, not personally NHLers, but I've been connected to the NHL in Winnipeg through like firsthand friends, so very closely connected. I know the shit that goes on, man. If you knew why players got shipped out sometimes and traded, oh my God.
Yeah, I agree. So, all right. So, I mean, any other final thoughts on the Ubergate, as they're calling it?
Well, actually, you got to condemn the Uber driver who released the video. Massive invasion of privacy.
Yes.
Never should have happened.
The Uber driver, it's such a scumbag move. It's just overall, like, you can't do that. And just a little quick funny thing is, the Ottawa Senators have a huge advertisement deal with Uber. So the game afterwards, there were Uber ads all over the Ottawa arena.
That's the best thing I've ever heard.
All right, and so if you haven't watched the video, just go and look up Ottawa Senators Uber video. It is worth the watch. Entertainment value, 12 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
So now, jumping ahead to our last segment of the pod, our predictions for the upcoming games. A lot of points up for grab this week. There are a lot more Winnipeg games, so that's helped. So tonight, the Edmonton Oilers play the Colorado Avalanche at home. How do we feel?
All right. Oilers lose 4-1.
Oh my goodness!
The riots in the streets are gonna happen afterwards.
4-1.
4-1.
Any significant moments?
Well, Nuge is going to get the only goal of the game for the Oilers, and it's going to be shorthanded.
Ooh, all right. Nuge, shorthanded goal. Chris, what do you think?
I really, really hate saying it, but I just feel like I think that the Avs are on a 6-game losing streak right now. It's got to bust. I just feel like that top line is going to really light up the Oilers tonight. They're just too. They're just too good. They're just too good. I'm sorry.
Oh no. So what do you got?
I would say I'm gonna say 4-1.
Another 4-1 loss.
Oh, then you
I
need a
hate to
spicy
say
hot
it.
take though.
Trust me, it hurts my heart to say it. I hate the Avs. I feel sorry for the Oilers. I really thought they were starting to turn it around, but it's the circumstances just prime for it to happen.
All right,
Okay,
Chris, for the
so-
tiebreaker, you need to say who the Oilers' goal scored by.
The Oilers' goal will be scored by Kajula,
Oh, Kajula scores.
and it's probably going to be banked in off of his ass.
Banked in off of him.
That would make this game worth watching.
Okay, so I'm gonna try and go for the point here. I'm gonna try to play a little strategically, and I'm gonna be betting with my heart here. I'm gonna say the Oilers, in recent years have done, McDavid specifically and Draisaitl have done really well against the Avalanche. I'm gonna say they're gonna win this one 4-3 in a shootout.
Ho! You're saying the Oilers aren't going to score in overtime? You crazy man.
I think McKinnon will be a good McKinnon and Landeskog are pretty good, comparable to McDavid and Draisaitl.
Fair enough.
All right, so then jumping over, we have the other game tonight. The New Jersey Devils visit the Winnipeg Jets. Chris, I'm going to start with you.
Well, that's tomorrow.
That's tomorrow?
Yep.
Oh, wow, look at me.
That's okay. I think the Jets are on a roll. I think the Jets are going to be on a roll. All that practice seemed to really clean up some areas in their game. So I'm going to say they're going to win. I'd say 3-2 Jets.
3-2 win. All right, Dalton, what do you think?
I hate to agree with Chris, but yeah, 3-0 Jets win.
3-0. All right, I hope so because I got Hellebuck. I'm going to say I agree. I think the Jets are also going to beat the Devils, especially after the Devils have not been playing very good recently. So I'm going to say that the Jets beat the Devils. I'll say big night for the bottom six, and they beat them 4-1.
All right.
Then the Oilers on Tuesday play Montreal at home. I think the Oilers are going to kind of right the ship a little bit against a kind of young run and gun. They're going to try and out run and gun Connor McDavid, and it's not going to work. I'm going to say the Oilers win 5-4 in regulation.
Mm-hmm. All right. I think the Oilers are also going to be the Joel Armia-less Habs, but it's going to be a little bit more of a lopsided thing. 5-2 victory for the Oilers.
5-2 victory. Chris, what do you think about the Montreal game?
Yeah, I think the Oilers will finally get off the schneid and win another game. Thank God. They're going to win 1-0.
1-0 over the Habs. I will take that. All right, so then all that's left are two Jets games. We have the Capitals visiting Winnipeg as well. I'm going to start. I'm going to say the Capitals have been kind of hit and miss every other game. So they beat the Oilers, and I'm kind of upset at them. So I'm going to say the Jets are going to beat them 4-2, and the Jets' power play is going to be the big difference.
So I don't know. The Jets, for some reason, don't match up well against the Capitals. I'm going to say that the Caps are going to win it in overtime 3-2.
The Caps, okay, 3-2 loss. Dalton, what do you think?
I'm also going to go with the Capitals for the victory. It's going to be a solid 4-2 victory.
4-2. All right. And then the last game for the Jets is they play Buffalo at home. Dalton, we're going to go with you.
Jack Eichel with a natural hat trick. Only goals of the game, 3-0.
Wow. All right. We're getting spicy.
Yeah.
3-0. That is an Eichel hat trick. Chris, what do you think?
Their goaltender's still Robin Lerner, right?
No, it's Ulmerk.
It is Ulmerk and Carter Hutton now.
Lerner is over in the Islanders now.
Oh. Well, in that case, because he always seemed to, like, I don't know, stymie the Jets. We always used to have problems scoring against him. So I'm going to say the Jets are going to win this one, going away 5-1.
5-1.
Finally, you disagree with me.
All right, so then I am going to go and say that it's actually closer than what the Jets would probably like. I'm going to say it's going to be I'll say it's a 2-1 Jets victory, and Jeff Skinner scores the only Buffalo goal.
Oh.
2-1, and then Skinner scores. All right, boys. Well, that has been another episode of, oh my goodness, it's been a long episode of the South of the Blue Line podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Blue Line South. SoundCloud at South of the Blue Line podcast. We're available on basically every place you can find podcasts, including YouTube if you don't want to watch anything. That is another shot at the very end just to knock yourself out.
Which beautifully transitions into the new merchandise we're releasing, a South of the Blue Line shot glass.
Oh! We will let everyone know where they can eventually find that. Once we actually start making money off the podcast. So that is it from all of us. We hope you have a lovely evening, and all right, we'll see everyone next time.
Take care, guys.
See ya.